When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and it's kind of a weird morning for me this morning. I have never slept through an alarm, and my husband left early to go golfing, and I remember him leaving, but I don't remember hearing him get ready, which means I was really sleeping well. We'll talk about our guest here in a minute and why I'm probably sleeping well. And, but then I just woke up out of the blue, and I usually get up at 5:30, and my clock said, I looked out and I was like, wait, why does it look like it's somewhat getting light? That is never light when I get up at 5:30. And I looked at my phone and I was like, oh my gosh, it's 6:30. What happened? So I was like, maybe I turned my alarm off. No, I didn't. I looked at my alarm later and it said missed alarm. So how I slept through my alarm and then it didn't go off again, I have no idea, other than I believe that others are watching out for us, and technology is one of the easiest ways for them to be able to alter. And I really do believe that my angels this morning were telling me I needed to sleep a little bit longer. I was probably in a state of probably healing my body. And so today we're going to talk about activating your inner healer. How do you activate your inner healer? And we have Charissa Sims with us today. She's been a valuable part of the LEAP community for a long time now. And she's just got so much wealth and knowledge. She's helped my husband and I both, even just through a phone call. So we'll get into that story a little bit today, so you can find out how I'm sleeping so well, how my husband is. And I'm actually, finishing, or kind of in the middle, and finishing up a metal detox of some symptoms I had earlier this year. And it was because of Charissa that I was able to identify these things. So much to dive into today, so much. You've got to stay around to check this out. But
oh my God, I love hearing your own benefits, though. It's so amazing. What an incredible testimonial. I'm just loving this. I'm bathing in it.
That's wonderful, Charissa. So you'll get to meet Charissa in a minute, but I want to thank our sponsor of today's show, Alley Spine Center in Scottsdale, Arizona. So what sets their office apart from other offices is their focus and expertise in treating degenerative spinal conditions, including the disc disease, bulging herniated disc, spinal stenosis, neuropathy, sciatica pain, tingling, and numbness in the arms, hands, legs, and feet, as well as severe and chronic neck pain and headaches. How crazy that they are our sponsor today, and that's what we're talking about. So they specialize in corrective care, not just the treatment of the symptoms, with physical medicine modalities. So in many cases, pre and post images are used to help determine the structural improvement of the spine. So if you're someone who's been suffering from neck or back pain like I was, and I did go to them several years ago. They work with spinal stenosis, sciatica, and other pain conditions. And if you haven't experienced the type of chiropractic or integrative corrective care, that's the difference, like the corrective care, not ones that just say, oh, you need to go get surgery, but we're talking like they're actually working to make sure that they're correcting anything that is off in your body. Make sure you contact them right away at LA Spine Center at 480-809-4900. And be sure to visit them at allyspinecenter.com. If you don't live in Arizona, that's okay. If you're listening to this from another state, all you have to do is go onto their website and connect them, and they'll connect you with a corrective care office in your area. So no one should ever have to struggle with these types of symptoms. So I'm glad that Charissa is here today, because I really believe in self-healing. I really believe in food and how that can heal, and sleep, and so many other things. So I'm excited to dive into that with her today. And I think all of us need to really understand that there's more than just going to a doctor and getting a pill to kind of take a symptom, and deflate that getting to the root and being your own healer is possible. It really is. So if that's one little tip you get from today, and take that with you, that's what we're looking for. So Charissa is a speaker, healer, workshop leader, and the host of the Zen Success Show. So you're going to want to go find the Zen Success Show out there so you can learn more about her. And she's helping her audience move from force to flow. How many of you feel like force? Oh my gosh, every day my life is just all about force. She's talking about flow, integrating spirituality into your business, your relationships, and your health. She's the best-selling author of Change Your Energy, Change Your Life, 10 Ways to Change Your Energy Now, and the author of numerous children's books. Oh, I forgot about that part. After being diagnosed with cancer, she was able to heal her body without Western medicine in 2021. That is why we listen and have someone like Chris on the show, because she's already done it. And we've heard the miracles of people healing themselves from cancer, and it is possible. So from a traditional professor at the University of Southern California to working with Amazon, Google, Fox, and more, she's now on a mission to help heal the world and inspire others that they too can heal themselves. So we're going to get you all the information of how you can connect with Charissa at the end of the show. But for now, Charissa Sims, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Colleen. You said that I've been a member of the community for a while, and I was, and then I left for a little bit and then came back. So it's wonderful to be back. So I decided to join again end of last year.
We're glad that you're here and you bring a wealth of knowledge. Let's just go back a little bit. So everyone's wondering, like, okay, what happened to her? So you obviously were a professor at the university. We just talked about that. And then why did you leave the university? Tell us kind of what your journey was like and why the shift, what happened? Was there a moment? Was there a pivot? Was it natural? Tell us where your journey led you.
Yes. So I'm an occupational therapist too. I went to the University of Southern California. And after grad school, I ended up working in injury prevention in ergonomics with corporations, universities, UCLA. And so USC asked me to be a professor part-time. And so I was teaching ergonomics there. And one of the things that caught me was the contract. So with the contract with a university, anytime you write a book or something, they own intellectual property rights. And I felt like eventually I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to write books and own the rights. And so I knew it wasn't like a long-term growth area for me, because it just felt like something maybe to build my resume, to inspire the graduate students to get into injury prevention and ergonomics for a short period of time. So I left that position about the same time I left Raytheon Space and Airborne Systems. I was running their ergonomics program in Los Angeles.
Oh, wonderful. So that makes total sense then why you would want to move on. And then you were also obviously with the university. Were you working with Amazon, Google, and Fox? Were they part of, or was that after?
That was my own business. So that was after I was working at Raytheon Space and Airborne Systems, and I have every other Friday off. And I had this inkling that I wanted to have more freedom. I wanted to have more days off and have more time for myself, for my relationships. And so I decided to start my own business part-time. And so I told one of the vendors that was coming at a chair vendor, because I was doing ergonomics. And he said, "Oh, I know someone who needs you right away." So my first client was City of Hope, cancer hospital. Isn't that ironic that I was diagnosed with cancer just a few years later? And so eventually I got a couple other clients as I was working at Raytheon. And some people didn't like that, including my boss, that I had my own business on the side. So I really loved working at Raytheon. They were very supportive. I had a multi-million-dollar budget. I had multiple employees. I was working with the executives. They were so supportive, and it was a great company, and I loved it there, but I just felt that inkling for something more, that freedom, which I felt like entrepreneurship could give me. And then eventually I was making more money with just a few clients, a few days a week than I was as an employee. So I decided it was time to leave. My boss took me aside and he said, "You have to choose." And I said, "Okay, well, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. And blessings, and see you later."
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And a lot of individuals wind up doing that when they
Mm.
feel a pull to do something. And obviously, the clients were lining up for you, and it was a sign to show you that there was more that you were going to be able to offer the world. So tell us what that was like, sitting in the doctor's office, or what happened? Were you having symptoms and then you went to the doctors to get a scan to find out you had cancer? How did that play out?
Yeah. So my husband and my family had just moved to Colorado. So it was in 2020, February 2020. And I still have my consulting business. And I was seeing clients remotely for healing still, but also traveling a little bit. And so I was in the West Coast. I was in LA and my family was in Colorado. And I remember getting the call and hearing the doctor, "You need to call us right away." And I knew something was wrong. And I had gone in to get my pap smear. And so I went through the process and they referred me to a cancer hospital, Anschutz. And so she decided that she didn't feel comfortable after the diagnosis. She said, "We found cervical cancer with a biopsy, but I want them to do another biopsy." So I went to this new doctor and she said, "Well, let's test the lymph nodes. Let's see if it's spreading." And so I went in, incredibly painful, and they didn't find anything in the lymph nodes, but they did find the cervical cancer in the cervix, and my mother was diagnosed with that too.
Mm-hmm.
So what they recommended was a radical hysterectomy. And for those of you who don't know, it's basically all your women's parts, just everything. That's radical. And I just had this visual, like everything dropping. I felt like, how could that be healthy? I felt like I am divine, and everything, all my organs are put in. There must be just some kind of imbalance. But I was upset because I didn't know what else to do, because my doctor didn't want to see me. She didn't feel comfortable. So I couldn't get a doctor. And then my current doctor wanted to do surgery and also take out the lymph nodes, although they didn't have cancer. So I told them that I wasn't going to do that, that I was going to try to treat it naturally. And they didn't like that. But it was, I'm smiling now, but at the time I was nervous. I was scared. I was crying. I mean, I thought, "Oh my God, am I going to die? Am I going to be here for my 8 and 11-year-old? They're 8 and 11 now." And so I was like, but I had to, this is take the leap. So I actually took the leap and I said, "Okay, now this is an opportunity to discover my own power, to see if I can heal myself naturally." So I gave myself 15 months. And I said, okay, I was actually open to surgery. I'm like, okay, well, if I can't do it, I will go the traditional medical route. But a few years before, I don't know if I had told you this in a previous interview, Colleen, my dad was diagnosed with cancer and he died in 2017. So it was kind of like, I don't know, a slap in the face to be like, okay, now I have cancer.
What kind of cancer did your dad have?
Lymphoma.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yes.
must have been a little scary when they said they wanted to check the lymph nodes to see
Yeah,
that
right,
had
right. I
spread,
was
right?
like, okay, well, luckily it hadn't spread yet. So
Yeah.
I had caught it early. So that's
So
good.
what is the process that we have to go through to, because now you're at a place, we're kind of taking our listeners on a journey. Now you're at a place where you have a choice to do surgery or work on healing yourself. So now you've decided to work on healing yourself. What does that look like for an individual? I've heard a lot of these stories. I've talked to a lot of members, a lot of friends about how they've healed themselves. What does that look like?
Well, I'll just share my process. And this is a process also that I use with my clients for pain and disease. And I just want to say that I'm not a medical doctor, and this is for informational purposes only. And you do need to see your doctor still. This is to supplement. I believe in the medical community for surgery, for emergencies, for diagnoses, and I still saw the cancer center for MRIs and to check up on my cancer to see if I actually was shrinking the cancer cells and eliminating it. So, so for me, I had to come, well, and for my clients, but I'll just share for me first. I had to elevate the cancer to my teacher.
Mhm.
So I started loving the cancer and asking it, why are you here? What is it that you're trying to teach me? So for me, it was sexual abuse and assault that I had pushed down and in my womb area. And I believe it showed up as the cancer, as
Yeah.
an imbalance. So I think there are so many factors in disease, in pain, environmental, psychological, emotional. So a part of it for me, I believe, was shame and not wanting to be associated with, I don't know why, but the Me Too movement. I was not like shouting off the rooftops, like Me Too. I was hiding really because I was like, I'm not a victim, I'm a victor, but I wasn't addressing it. And
Yeah.
so cancer was my teacher to bring it out in the open. So I also went to a psychologist to get those emotions out and to like heal that process. And as a healer, I recommend when you have other people's energies, so I still had some of their energies in me, I recommend removing those energies and actually connecting with their soul and forgiving them and loving them. Because a lot of times, I mean, I may get a lot of slack for this, that they're unconscious, they're robots, they're repeating, they're hurt people, they're repeating past patterns, they're on autopilot, whatever it might be. And so that was part of my healing, was forgiving and letting go of that rape and sexual assault.
I 100% agree with that and what you're saying. And you're not the first person that has ever, this isn't anything new, right? Maybe it's new to our show, but I think what you're saying is how you activate your inner healer is first, number one, you need to become aware that there could be some existence of trauma, blocked energy. And this is very common for anyone out there that doesn't realize we're energy beings. So if you're blocking
Yeah.
that or have trauma and you've pushed that down, I know individuals who have had cancer because of anger, right?
Yeah.
The anger, and there's specific organs within your body, and if you get cancer within those organs, it's caused from that. So we trigger a lot of that to happen. Change will trigger that. Emotions, trauma, and new things in our lives can trigger that. So
Mhm.
I'm thankful that you're being honest with yourself, with us, and with the
Mm,
audience, because it's really the only way that we can come to grips with, what that might look like for you. So you used working with a psychologist to help you move,
yeah.
come to grips with, I think, a lot of what was
Hmm.
going on. Forgive yourself, forgive others.
Hmm.
And then what started happening with the MRIs and the scans? Did you
Yeah.
start noticing after months, years that they started to, what
Good
was that?
question. That's such a good question. I wanted to share a few other things that I
Yeah.
did. So, I talked to my cancer cells every day. So I not only sent them love and asked them what do I need to learn? What are you teaching me? But I also sent them gratitude and appreciation. And even now, I am so grateful for this because I am healthier than I ever have been in my whole life, and fit and strong and just resilient, So it's like this, whatever the cancer did, I feel amazing after going through it. So I also worked on my own healing. So I did meditations and I worked with healers. I visualized like water cleansing every cell of my being, especially my womb. I kind of visualized like the waves of the ocean just cleansing it. And so what I believe is that we can have control over the irregular cells and inflammation of our body through our healing energy. So when I say I activate people, I got that activated within me because I had some doubts that I could heal myself truly, because I gave myself a
Yeah.
timeline. I kept going to the doctor, but sending love, washing the ocean waves, wash over my sacred womb area, and dancing, being in my feminine, moving my hips more and more, moving that energy, anything that was blocked in the sacral area, I had to get that out, that kundalini at the base of the spine, and just movement. So I also changed my nutrition. So I was keto diet, meat and dairy and vegetables, but I wanted to try detoxing. So I also systematically detoxed every organ in my body, also parasites. I did a liver, colon cleanse. I did so many different things. So all of that being said, what was the other thing I did? Oh, ozone. So I did intravenous ozone, which I highly recommend, and also vaginal ozone. So I also did intravenous vitamin C. So I did all these like alternative methods and
Yeah.
mushrooms and changing my supplements. So I went to a naturopath, functional medicine doctor, and it took about 6 months where I saw the cancer was about half. So I knew what I was doing was working. And the reason why I didn't check sooner, it could have happened sooner, but it's not good for you to get a lot of MRIs. It's not healthy. It actually can spread the cancer. I don't
Yeah.
know if they tell you. Surgery too can actually open up
Oh,
the
yeah.
cancer and spread it more, unfortunately, but they don't tell you that.
Yeah. So what was the total length of time for all of these amazing different types of modalities and the self-care that you showed your body, and the conversations you were, I love that you talked about having conversations with the cells, because the number one thing I believe that people feel when they get cancer is, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
They immediately become a victim of it, and they want to know, why me, why my husband, why my wife, why my sister, why my mom. Everyone gets very angry about it. And instead you said, um, thank you for coming. I'm glad you're here. What are you teaching me? What do I need to learn? What do I need to let go of? And just coming to grips with, this is where I'm at right now and what are my options. So how long was it to where you had received, your final scan and all the work that you had done? Because I think people think it's short term, like, oh, well, if I just do it for 6 weeks and then, it'll go away. Well, that doesn't happen in any of the processes for eliminating cancer. How long was that, Charissa?
Yeah. And I understand, let's just say I believe in miracles, that it can happen fast for you. I know you said, it doesn't happen in 6 weeks. I do believe it can, but are you getting the lessons within that 6 week period? Because that's why I feel like it took longer, because I also had to come to grips with, like, I'm a healer. Why am I getting sick? I'm healing others, and then I have this disease. So then there's a embarrassment too. And also I felt like a fraud, an imposter. Like, how could I stand up and say, you can heal yourself and I have disease? So I had to go through so much stuff of, like, believing in myself. But I'll go back to your question, Colleen, that it was about 15 months where I got the MRI and I saw that it was completely gone and healthy. And now I keep getting pap smears and they're normal. And so I know that it's continuing to be in remission, they say, but I just like to say healed.
Like, give us an example of one of your clients that you've worked with over the past years. And do they come to you because, do you find that a lot of your clients come to you because they have a lot of pain or inflammation, or they do have cancer, and they really are looking for, I want to say, an alternative way, because the one way that everyone knows is like, oh, you go to radiation and the doctor, and then, you go through this process. So there are many ways to cure cancer, and you're definitely one of those leaders in that industry. So could you provide us with an example, and then we'll tell all of the listeners, of course, how they can reach out to you, because I'm sure someone's listening knows somebody, if they're not the ones themselves that need to work with you.
What's amazing is that I haven't worked with anyone diagnosed with cancer yet. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And it could be just my marketing, or how I'm getting out there. But a lot of people have maybe smaller issues where they're thinking of a job transition. And I also do intuitive reading. So that's why I did the reading for Colleen and her husband. So it can help you make a decision, if you're thinking about doing one thing or the other, or I have people with pain. I had someone with knee pain, and sometimes with your knees, that means you're having a hard time moving forward in your life. So I take my clients, I not only do a healing with them, but take them through a process that they can do on their own to continue their healing. Also relationships and psoriasis, little arthritis, so and general pain. But I haven't worked with people with a disease that we've cured together. So that would be really fun.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, when you and I were working together, and I'm sure everyone's been like, okay, wait, you said you were going to share what happened. And when you and I were working together over the phone, I would get about once or twice a year, I would get this cough, and it would just stay around for like a month or two. And Carissa really tuned into me and mentioned something about heavy metals. And as soon as she did, I was like, of course, that's what it is, because I had gotten my blood test work done. You know, I get it done about every year, and I work with Melissa Deely, and she reads all of my blood work. And out of the blue, like she kept saying my metals were getting higher and higher. And I eat a lot of fish. I don't eat red meat or chicken or pork, and I eat a lot of fish. So it's not shocking that I would have high levels of metal. And she'd been talking about detoxing, but I was doing some other things to balance, you know, hormones and other things out. So that was kind of last on my list. But it kept coming up in this cough. And then when you said that, I was like, of course, that's exactly what it is of what I need to do. And so I've gone through the process of detoxing, you know, with heavy metals.
Okay.
And then, you know, you tapped into my husband because we were talking about um him not being efficient and sleeping and issues that he was having there. And his mind just gets so cluttered with stuff and things, you know, and feeling like he has to do it right now and it can't wait, you know, even though the world is sleeping and no one's awake to even pay attention to anything he's doing. But you know, he has been sleeping so much better. There are so many benefits to having somebody on the outside looking in on what's happening. And I think that's really what it is, right? If we go to a doctor, we're getting another kind of view or a piece of advice on what's happening in our body. We think it might be one thing and someone else might look at it and see something totally different. And I know that the way Carissa, the way you work with individuals is you're not only intuitive, but you're also very inquisitive and asking a lot of questions to really understand what is going on. So I just want to share with all of our listeners, you do not have to walk through life in pain. When we talk about this podcast being designing your life, your exact reality is what you've designed. Everything in it, including inflammation in your body, including pains, including trapped energies, including lack of money, including wealth. You've attracted it and created all of it. And most people that hear that, they don't want to believe that they've done it, right? No, it's because of something else. But the truth is that life is always happening for you. And maybe, like you said, some people won't like this. I could lose some listeners over this, which is fine. This isn't the right podcast for you if you're listening to it and you want to stay a victim. This is the right podcast to listen to if, like you had said, you know, you want to be a victor. If you want to work through any of those to get rid of it. I know when my dad died, I had to work through a lot to let go of that bad energy that I had had with my dad and the shame and the anger and how angry I was. I carried that like a Sherpa on my
Yeah.
back. And I'll tell you, I had neck issues. And we just talked about companies I worked with, neck issues, back issues. I had all these major issues because I carried around so much pain from a relationship with my dad that was not my pain. It was his, it was not mine. He was the inflictor, not me. Right. And so I was the child. And so when I think about that, I wonder how many people today listening are walking around with injuries and pain and trapped energy and things going on in their body that if they would just team up with somebody like you, Carissa, to help them release that, get through it, move on, let it go, that they could heal themselves. You really do. It's going through the process and working through the process with the assistance of others to heal yourself, not just on your own, sitting in your room and becoming your own healer, right? It's a
Yeah.
process. So I appreciate that. Go ahead, Carissa.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm just going to get a little bit spiritual, but I believe that God put us to connect with each other, that we have a purpose, that God works through us. And like Colleen said, we're not meant to just heal ourselves in silos. I believe there's time to go within, go deep, and then also reach out for help. And we're more powerful together. So I just wanted to say that.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Charissa. So I know everyone wants to know how to reach you. We have your website, CharissaSims.com, available. We also have your YouTube and your Instagram. If they wanted to buy your book, where could they find that? Your book was Change Your Energy. Yeah,
Change your life.
Change Your
Yeah.
Life.
You can go to my website and I'm taking,
CharissaSims.com.
CharissaSims.com. And then my podcast is ZenSuccessPodcast.com. So,
Okay, ZenSuccessPodcast.com. Okay, great. So
yeah.
we'll have that information out there as well. And Chris, I just want to thank you so much for being a guest on today's show. You bring an amazing energy with you everywhere you go. And for all of those of you listening, you truly can heal yourself through, working with others and understanding why things are going on in your body that are. And so I would challenge you to figure that out and contact Charissa and at least have a introductory call with her to get to know her a little bit better, so that you can see if she's the right person that you need to be working with. So we have all of her information below. There's no reason why you can't reach out to her. And I'm just going to leave you with this. You're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that's ever going to be. Your body is like a temple, right? You're the only you. This is your life. So why would you want to live it in pain or in fear or in dis-ease? I love that you said dis-ease because we call it disease. That's what they call it, right? But it's dis-ease. Something is off in your body. What is it? How do you fix that? Pay attention to it, take note to it, and work through it. So thank you so much, Charissa, for being here today. This was a really fun topic to discuss. I love having these discussions on the show because it truly is the epitome and the foundation of creating the life that you desire. And without your health, you have nothing because your health is your wealth. 150% it is. So thank you, everyone, for being here today. Charissa, thank you for being our guest on today's show. Until next time, everyone, don't forget, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery, where you learned the tools to create a life by design. Remember, you are the only you there is, and you are the only you that will ever be. Be you and be strong, because you are brilliant, and the world needs you at your best. We cannot wait for you to join us again next time.